The project itself was to duplicate an existing main which was beginning to show its age. There was also a need to improve the water quality and volume of flow to the wider network in Earlston.
The key activities within the project was installation of 7,000 metres of a PE water main. The main activities within the works, there was a river crossing on the leader. There was a directional drill that had to be installed with a 30 to 40 metre head on it, and then there was the open cut sections linking all these obviously together.
The driver for the project is resilience, security to supply. So one main goes down, we will continue to meet demand and supply to the wider network. Earlston or general maintenance could be carried out on that without any disruption to their supply. A.G. Wilson were brought onto the project following a tendering process. Throughout the tendering process, we identified a wealth of knowledge, a professional approach to resolving some of the more tricky and more challenging parts of the project. The gas mains passing a petrol station. Although we adopted some expensive techniques with the directional drill, it was still deemed safer and more cost effective to go around the bypass, and ultimately a better solution. A.G. Wilson first came to our knowledge as plastic pipe welding experts. It soon became clear that they had skills far beyond just pipe welding within the civil engineering aspect of things, pipe laying, constructing concrete structures and things like that. It soon became apparent that they were well equipped for delivering full projects.
Cost and budget was important to the client. At the outset, we set out about a lump sum on the project, confirmed we would deliver the project for the lump sum, so there would be no further costs. If anything, there would be potential savings. For example, the river crossing was initially meant to be HDD, and we developed the open cut technique for crossing it. This then created a saving. Part of that saving was then returned to the client. We set about having meetings with the local community representatives, so if anybody had any concerns or any issues whilst the job was ongoing, they could call in and discuss the project, alleviate their fears of any risk or any potential pollutions downstream of the river or any vibrations that they were concerned about within any properties.
The project team and A.G. Wilson engaged with the public from the onset. As soon as we were on site, we had community engagement meetings with the council. As we crossed the River Tweed and Leader, there was the Tweed Commission, the Tweed Foundation. With regards to the local community, we had radio announcements to say the road was going to be closed or there were going to be traffic lights on the bridge. Any sort of disruption was notified in the local papers.
As part of our commitment within sustainability, we seek to employ people from local areas where we're undertaking the projects. Universities that contacted us wanting us to take on potential graduate engineers. We took 2 graduate engineers onto this project and also employed a project manager from the local area. It worked well because he knew the local contacts within the council and the local community, so it proved well for us, and it also provided employment for the local area. Well, the main complications we encountered was the crossings and the leader. The leader was originally designed to be a directional drill, HDD drill. We suggested to the client, Scottish Water, that this should be open cut as opposed to a directional drill. The reason being for that we couldn't guarantee that fracking out wouldn't occur given the ground conditions. We developed method statements, risk assessments, and SEPA were more than happy with the proposals we put to them.
Previously upstream, a different contractor had attempted an open cut before and had led to a pollution incident, so A.G. Wilson were keen to prove that this could be done in a safe and environmentally sensitive way. So there's 4 points of protection. Firstly, we would install washed river gravel bags to create a still area. Then second form of defence was the turbidity boom, and the third line of defence then was a debris boom. And then further downstream we had a full width river debris boom. The next step of that would be to isolate the fish which are in the area. So we employed another contractor to come in and stun the fish, remove them from the river and introduce them downstream from the works, so we were sure and could prove that there was no harmful effects to the environment from our initial setup. Any machinery used in the area, the likes of the digger, we had to clean down before we entered the river, fill with bio oil so that any hose bursts happened, we were able to contain that and the bio oil wouldn't be as harmful to the environment as standard hydraulic oil.
My team were all briefed on exactly how to do the job. They're all experienced men, so knew exactly what to do. We also waited to a time when the climate gave us the lower water levels to work to.
One of the main points would have been working on the bridge, where we had to install brackets, which meant we had to access from the top. We used a bridge platform or an inspection platform, had a very unique piece of equipment to help us do that. Ultimately, it led to us completing that element of the project very quickly and safely. At the end of the job, it only took 5 days to cross the bridge.
We used a 8DD drill to cross the A68. This was challenging in itself, that the drill had to go up a hill with a 30 to 40 metre head on it. The challenges there were to stop the slurry exiting the hole on the lower end. To avoid or mitigate this, we put in pigs, which are effectively a metal bung. These are put on the rods and dragged through with the 8DD drill to mitigate as much as possible the slurry from exiting the pits. Anywhere where there's potential of higher risks, for example working within the river, the guys were given additional PPE and watchmen on site at all times to ensure the safety of men. Through ropes would have been on site, and also an emergency boat should it be required.
We try to reduce health and safety risk. We've bypassed Earlston, avoiding all the congested services, essentially coming through fields.
Our contribution to the buildability of the whole project was through quality management systems. For example, we developed bolting techniques and ensured that these were signed off and the locations of each bolted joint was recorded. This is done through the GPS Trimble system. Butt fusion joint was numbered and recorded. The time, date and the location was tested to make sure there was no foreign objects within the weld.
They were always very willing to work with us to achieve what we needed, what my client needed, and we ended up developing a very robust quality system.
Project management of the job was important to ensure that we had a programme at the outset of the project in terms of the delivery of materials to site. We didn't want to have all pipe deliveries to one central compound. We would encounter double handling of materials. We created maybe 7 different pipe dumps. These were brought in a timely nature.
There was a number of difficult areas that we had to come across and come through. One was the archaeology in the Trimontium, which is a Roman fort. We had to make an application to the Scottish Government. Part of the mitigating measures that we put in was a 300mm deep stone haul road to essentially protect the subsoil and essentially remove that as we left. We had watching brief, so it's essentially an archaeologist with us at all times of any excavating work when we were doing that. Although the route had been planned and designed prior to the tendering process, whilst out on site, the technical ability of A.G. Wilson drove the project. We found that the knowledge wasn't just coming from board level, it kind of cascaded through the whole project team. Everybody on site fully understood exactly what they were trying to achieve and how they were going to achieve it.
We have a diverse workforce that's embedded within the company and have been established with the company for some time now. The roots stand back maybe 10 to 20 years with quite a number of our employees. For this project, we called upon all this experience to develop the techniques that was used to undertake the works.